welcome back to Sundays with Sarah. I haven't done a Sunday with Sarah for a couple of weeks because, as you guys know, last week and the week before, no, last week we just got home, but the week before we were in New York City. Oh my goodness. I literally feel so grateful that I'm able to say, one moment, excuse me, so grateful to say that I've actually been to New York, and we went over half term. We made the most incredible memories. We did absolutely everything and it was just the best time ever. And if you haven't already seen the vlogs, they're in a playlist on our main channel, the Ingham Family. Head on over there and watch them because we vlogged every single day whilst we were out there. And also, they include lots of great hints and tips and absolutely everything that we did. So if you haven't checked those out, there will be a playlist on our main channel, the Ingham Family. I'll leave a link in the description box down below. Right, lots of you guys have been asking me if I will do a hints, tips vlog on New York, because I know a few of you guys are planning on going out there soon, and I also feel like these type of vlogs really help other people when they're trying to organise their trip, or if they're interested in going somewhere. I know that I watched loads of these, especially on Orlando, Florida, when we went last time and the time before that. So I thought I'd do that today. And I also thought, for those people that are not actually interested in going to New York and are not interested in tips, that I would tell you guys what I absolutely loved about New York and the things I didn't love so much, because there are a few. Although it was amazing, there are a few things that I didn't love. I do just want to say also before I start that even though I'm going to tell you a few things I didn't love about New York, that doesn't in no way, shape or form mean that you won't love those things. And it also doesn't mean that I wasn't grateful. So I don't want people to start saying you shouldn't be ungrateful, you're moaning, how can you moan when you got to go to New York? It's not like that at all. I'm only sharing my personal opinion on traveling there and visiting it. And I absolutely loved the trip. I'm so grateful. I would love to go back in the future. These are just my loves, not loves, and tips on traveling there. So I'm going to start with a few tips. So the first tip would be to make use of the subway. Not going to say tube, which I did way too many times in our daily vlogs. Make use of the subway. It's so daunting. And so, oh, I forget on the wrong one, I'm so scared. But honestly, it's so simple to use, literally. And you need to save your energy. One of my other things I liked about Manhattan, which is where we were staying, is everything's relatively close by, and I thought that it would be way too difficult to walk from one end to the other end, but it's not. It's actually quite easy, although you spend so much time walking and on your feet and using up your energy that you definitely should make use of the subway. It's super easy to use. They're constantly running all the time. They're like every 3 minutes or something. It's ridiculous. And they're super cheap too. Well, I don't know if you'd call that super cheap, I'm not sure. You can either pay $2.70 for getting into the subway, and once you're in there, you can get on as many tubes as you like, but if you leave the subway station, you need to pay to get back in. Or you can do what we did, which was buy a weekly pass. And the weekly pass, I think, was around $37 or maybe $39, something like that. And that basically gets you unlimited use of the subway for the whole week. Ours was a 7-day pass, so we had unlimited use for the whole week, and we thought it was really good value, especially if you get on a tube or a subway and it's the wrong one, and then you have to come out and go back in, and I don't know, it just kind of gave us that peace of mind. So I definitely recommend that you guys study the maps and make use of the subways. Another tip would be, especially if you're going between, I don't know, October and March, April time, prepare for all weather. There's so many questions on these Facebook groups. I don't know what to pack. The weather says this. It doesn't matter what the weather says for today or even what the weather is today, because tomorrow can be completely different. I remember one day we were out there. If you're watching this in the future, actually, you may not know what time of year I'm talking about unless you look in the description box. We went in February, so we were there for a week over Valentine's, and one day we were walking around and I was so boiling I had to take off my coat, and we were all carrying our coats, and then literally the next day it snowed. I'm not even joking, literally the next day it was freezing and none of us could get warm. We had coats zipped right up as hoods pulled over, the wind was bitter and it was ice cold. So it really doesn't matter what the weather's like one day from the next. You have to prepare for all types of weather, and the best way to do that is to pack lots of different layers, not just like one big thick jumper, more long sleeve tops and sweaters and things like that. Another tip would be to do research on places to eat and look for the cheaper places. We didn't eat out as much as what we usually do when we go on holiday. When we go on holiday, it's kind of like, we're not cooking, we're on holiday. And we usually eat out most nights. But actually, I don't know if it was because it was long days and it was so busy, and come the end of the evening, we were all so tired and exhausted that Chris just wanted to grab a slice of pizza and head back to the room. And a lot of the times, me and the girls just weren't hungry. But look out places to eat, because we did eat out, I think, twice, maybe 3 times in the week that we were there. And one time it was at Applebee's, and I think the bill for Applebee's was around $100, something like that, just over $100. And we ate out for breakfast at a place called TikTok Diner, and that bill was $130. Now, I'm not a breakfast person. I don't eat breakfast very often. I just can't enjoy food early in the morning. Isla and Esme are the same, but Chris and Isabelle do. They like breakfast. So we ate out, and I don't know if this is because I'm tight. Some of you guys watching this video might be thinking, oh my gosh, you're on holiday, why are you worrying about how much breakfast is? But I just can't justify $130 on breakfast. Like, oh my gosh, I felt so guilty all day that day. And we didn't eat out breakfast any other day except the first day, but that was much cheaper. So do your research on where you want to eat and what meals are important to you, because I know for sure that I'd rather spend $130 on a nice evening meal than breakfast. And the breakfast that we got that day wasn't a big breakfast. You'll see in our vlogs, it was just a standard, you know, normal one breakfast each. But yeah, do your research and decide where's good to eat. And also, if you're not massively hungry people, or you just don't like spending loads of money on dinner or any type of meals, there's a place called Two Bros Pizza. I can't recommend this. It's not a restaurant, it's like a takeout place, but they do have a small area where you can sit in and eat if you want to. This place was always busy, and I don't blame people that want to eat there all the time. It's called Two Bros Pizza. We visited 2 separate ones. One was near Times Square, and I can't actually remember where the other one was, but you can just put it into Google Maps. It's called Two Bros Pizza, and all pizza in there, all slices, now we're talking New York sized slices, not just like UK, we're talking New York. They were huge slices of pizza for $1. $1, which in English money, if you're wondering, is about 70p, something like that, 78p maybe. It's insane. It's just such good value. And they also do a meal deal where you can get 2 slices of pizza and a drink for $2.99, something like that. It was amazing value. And one night, me, Chris and the girls, all 5 of us ate pizza as much as we could eat. I actually only managed 1 slice, so did Isla and Esme. Isabelle managed 1.5 and Chris ate 3. No idea how he ate 3, because I don't know, but he ate 3. We all had drinks and it was $14. Like $14. It's like £10. It was such good value. In Times Square, it's incredible. honestly, it just took my breath away completely. It's so beautiful. It's so mind-blowing to, it's so surreal knowing you're there. You just stood there and you're looking up and there's all these buildings and TV displays, and it's incredible. It really is such an amazing experience. And when you're walking through, there's a real buzz everywhere. Along with that, there's people in costumes. Now, personally, I don't know why anybody would want pictures with people in these costumes, because I found them pretty scary. I thought the costumes were quite scary. They're like Minnie Mouse, Mickey Mouse, there's a few superheroes, the Hulk, I think I saw Batman, a Spider-Man, and people were going up for pictures with these people, or these people were trying to entice children in. Come and have a picture with me, and obviously as a child, but they are not free. You get your picture. We saw so many people being caught out. You have your picture taken and then they start saying $20, $20, $10 or $15. And so many people got caught out. But if you look on the floor where these people are stood, there's tape around them. And this tape's in kind of a rectangular shape, and they're actually not allowed to step outside of the taped area. It's like a law thing over there. And so if you don't want pictures with these people or you don't want to get pulled in, just steer away from the tape. Obviously, I'm not slating these people. I understand that they're just trying to make a living, and if you're happy to pay money for a picture taken with them, then go and help support them and you can go and have your picture taken. So I'm not slating them for doing that in any way, shape or form. I'm just saying that not a lot of people were aware of the fact that you had to pay. So we did see quite a few unhappy families having pictures taken and then having a bit of a debate on the fact that they had to pay. I'm just going to give two more really quick tips. One of them is to get small notes. Oh my goodness, when we went, we changed our money actually in the airport because we were super unorganised. It was a surprise for the girls and we just didn't manage to get round to changing over our money. So we did it in the airport, and I think the smallest note we had was $10 or something like that, which is fine, but you pretty much have to tip for most things. It's not just New York, it's kind of a customary thing that you do if you go to America. I think they get pretty low wages, and so it's made up by tips. Actually, who was I speaking to the other day? I was speaking to one of my friends. Oh, was it Dave's brother? I think it was Dave's brother? Chris's brother, Dave. And he was saying that one of his friends is a bar attendant? Bar server over in New York, and he makes like per week around $1,700 in tips per week. Like, oh my goodness. But anyway, it's customary to tip in New York, and it is more expensive to live over there and things like that, so I don't begrudge paying, but pretty much everyone wants tips. And when you've only got $10 as a minimum, it can be quite expensive before you've even got to your hotel room. So if you can, I would advise trying to get some $1 or $5 bills. And then finally, just don't be put off going with young children. A lot of people feel like New York is an adult's place or somewhere that children won't necessarily enjoy, but our girls took such an interest in everything, like everything. To the subways and how they run, to the Statue of Liberty and all the history around that, 9/11, the memorial, all the buildings. They just took so much interest, and we had a great time as a family, and it wouldn't have been the same had we have gone without the girls. And I feel like, although Isla probably won't remember every single aspect of New York, I really don't like the saying, they're too young to remember, so you shouldn't take them. Well, you know, they're too young to remember their first birthday, but that doesn't mean you're not going to celebrate it. So I feel like you need to make the most of your children being young, and don't be put off taking them to places like New York, because they loved it and we loved it too. So I thought that I would share with you a few things that I really loved about New York. One of them was just the whole vibe of the place, especially in Times Square. I think I mentioned it a little bit earlier on, but it's just so alive. It literally is the city that never sleeps, nowhere closes. It's just so awake and alive, and you can't help but just be completely absorbed in the atmosphere. It was incredible. I also loved Broadway and seeing The Lion King. That's my all-time favourite theatre show. It's incredible, and I would definitely recommend, if you are ever given the opportunity to do so, to go and see The Lion King, because it will blow your mind. And I feel so grateful that I was able to see that not only in London but also in New York on Broadway. It was just the best experience. The sights, oh my goodness, the buildings, the One World Trade Center, the Statue of Liberty, all these things that I've seen so many times on TV, I were finally stood in front of. Like, they were there right in front of me, and I was able to look at them and experience them in real life, and it was incredible. Our hotel, I loved our hotel. We stayed at 50 NYC, which is an Affinia hotel, and it was perfect. It was right in a great location. You could walk most places. You could even walk to Times Square from our hotel. It was quite far, and like I said before, I'd rather save my energy for walking around, but you could. And it was a great hotel, loads of room in the room, really big generous sized rooms, very clean, friendly staff, and I really was super happy we'd chosen that hotel. I also really enjoyed the tour buses. So you can get like hop on hop off bus tickets, which we had included in our New York pass, and I thought they were really good. Not only were they really interesting and you found out lots of awesome facts, you got to see sights from a different perspective, but you also got to sit down and rest your feet, and it was great for like a timeout type thing. And also, if it was raining, if you have any showers, you can sit downstairs or in the roofed part upstairs. And I really enjoyed the hop-on buses, so I definitely recommend those. And finally, I absolutely loved just being able to spend time exploring a new city together as a family. It was amazing. So just before I finish, I thought I would tell you a few things that I didn't like so much about New York. And like I mentioned at the start of this video, some of you guys watching this may actually love some of these things, and it's not that anything was wrong with the place, it's just my personal, well, it's just my personal opinion. I didn't like the rushing. Like, it's not just limited to New York. I'm sure it's the same in every city. It's kind of the same in London, which is why I don't like London so much. Chris loves this. In fact, all of these things I'm about to list, Chris actually loves. So it's definitely just opinions. But I just don't like the constant rushing around and the pushing and the shoving and just the whole stressed vibe atmosphere that you have to get somewhere and you need to be there right now. It's just not me. It's also quite evident on the roads, like seriously, the amount of beep, and these people don't just press their horn, they hold it down for as long as their ears will let them, and it's constant. Wherever you're walking, all you can hear is beep, beep, beep. It drove me crazy. And Isla as well, she doesn't like loud noises. She hates balloons and the banging. She hates party poppers because of the banging. So she was like walking around a lot of the times with her little hands over her ears. It's loud. Although I mentioned at the start of this video to make use of the subway, I do feel like it's worth it. So although I'm about to give a negative about it, I still think it's worth using the subway. But I didn't like the subway, which sounds crazy, but I didn't like the subway just because of the busyness of it a lot of the time. And that takes me back to the rushing that I just mentioned. Everyone's so eager to get on a subway the second it pulls up on stand. Like literally rushing, pushing past people. Everyone's a complete savage. They're like ramming in, pushing, shoving. And then you'll get the people that are not even on the stand, they're right back up the steps. They're running down the escalator, shoving people out the way, jumping over the barrier, almost breaking a leg, and then jumping onto the tube as the door's closing, pushing their arm in so the door can't close, grabbing the door open and then ramming themselves in. Like, seriously, I understand you might have places to be, but surely getting there safely is more important than almost breaking bones trying to get onto a tube that actually is due again in 3 minutes. Like, I found it mind-blowing, and it did irritate me a little bit. Another thing that I didn't love about New York, which surprised me because I loved this in Florida, was the food. And it's not that there was anything wrong with the food. Let me just say before I even get going on this, there was nothing wrong with any meal that we received. I mean, I wasn't as keen on some meals as others, but it was mainly due to the cost. Like, I found it so expensive, and I know that's not because people are trying to rip you off or anything like that. It's the same here. If we were to go to London, we'd pay more because it's in the city. So I understand that. I understand that when you're in New York, you're going to pay more than what you'd pay for something if you were in Florida, because you're in the city, and it's, is it the busiest city in the world or the most popular city in the world? I don't know, but it's a very, very popular city. So I understand that. But due to the expense, I'm quite a tight person in a way, and I'd rather find meals that don't cost quite so much, which did mean that we didn't eat out as much as what we'd usually do whilst we're away. That's fine, it's not a big deal, it's just personal opinion. I know some people save up to go to New York and they're quite happy to pay hundreds of pounds for dinner, and I don't blame you if that's the way you like to do it. You're paying for your holiday and you want to enjoy it, but I'm just the type of person that would rather reel in and compromise on things like food so that we can enjoy that money doing other things, if that makes sense. So I didn't enjoy the food quite as much as I thought I would do, but I loved Two Bros Pizza. The final one, it's not really something that I hated, but just the general busyness and the queues. Like, I think we queued for about 45 minutes for the Statue of Liberty, and that was in extremely low season. Like, they were saying this is the quietest. So if you don't like queues, I can't even imagine what the queue lengths would be like if you went during peak time over Christmas or New Year or summer. So if you're not one that likes massive crowds of people and long queues and busyness, then I definitely do your research and decide what time of year would be best for you to go. All that being said, I had the most amazing time in New York, and Chris really wants to go back one day. I'd like to go back, but I'm not in a rush to go back, but I did love it, and I'm so glad that I got to experience it. I'm so glad that we got to do all the things that we did whilst we were there, and I'm so glad that we got to show the girls all the things that we got to show them whilst we were out there. So that's it for this week's Sunday with Sarah. I know it's slightly different to what maybe I usually do. I know some of you are not even interested in New York because you're not going or you don't want to go, but I hope you still enjoyed watching this video anyway, and kind of getting my perspective and my views and opinions on an amazing city. Don't forget to give me some suggestions on what you might like me to do next week, and I'll see you all then with another Sunday with Sarah. Bye guys!